What's up, Internet? Welcome back to Nerd Alert. It's Brandon with Jimmy and James, and we have a little hunk of Marvel news to go through today. Some big announcements, some changes, things like that. First off, I think the biggest is we had Doomsday and Secret Wars pushed back around 6 months each, respectively. Looks like I think there was a summer release for Doomsday that now looks to be either winter or November, December.
Yeah.
And then, Secret Wars pushed back 6 months because I assume those are being filmed at the same time, much like Endgame and Infinity War, correct?
Which I do not mind. Yes, correct. Which I do not mind because it's like, just get it right. That's fine.
100%. Take all the time you need.
That's one of the reasons why, I finally saw, I know it came out, but I finally saw, you know what? No, I waited for it to come out on Disney Plus. That will be my new excuse. That came out on Disney Plus, and I was just waiting for it to get released. So excited to see it premiere on Disney Plus. And I know we talked about this extensively, that they had a lot of reshoots and people were panning it because of the reshoots. No, I have no idea what the original cut looked like, but I thought the final product was a fine film. No, it's not the greatest Marvel movie ever. No, it's not the greatest superhero movie ever, but it's fine. And I thought the new footage or whatever stories they added to it made it more complete and made it a good film, in my opinion.
We're talking about Captain America?
Yeah, 4.
No, We're talking about. I couldn't think of a good.
You know what? This guy. Anyways,
so witty.
He literally stopped the conversation to make no joke. Unbelievable. Anyways, yeah, the thing I really like about us is we just are trying to enjoy these things. And don't get me wrong, there's some stinkers out there, but they're not good, and we'll try not to hyper fixate on them if they're not. But
it's 3.
Well, you said that. Yes. I saw you. But I haven't been overly disappointed with a lot of Marvel. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot I haven't really rewatched. I've watched once, and I'll come around to it, and maybe with some time might view it differently, better or worse. But yeah, for all intents and purposes, I was entertained through Captain America 4 Brave New World.
And to be honest, I thought when we saw the trailer, they did a disservice by showing Red Hulk and really giving that away, as heavy as they did. But the way it played out in the movie, I was surprised. I was impressed because the whole time, James and I just watched it, I was surprised because I was like, I don't trust Ross at all. That was the whole point. But Ross really wasn't the villain. It wasn't his plan that got played out. He was the villain in that he was being played. But I like how they did that. And I think that actually helped with the trailer in that I just assumed going in, I don't trust Ross at all. He is making moves to become a super soldier by way of now being a Hulk, as we've seen all the way back with the Ed Norton version. And now it was no, he got played, and he actually really stood by his word, because at the end, when he's in the raft, they make a mention, Anthony Mackie's Falcon is no, he did wrong and he stood by it, and he's taking his medicine. And I'm like, good for him. I really thought that played out well. I was impressed, I should say.
Yeah, I completely agree. The use of the trailers making the audience think one thing was pretty brilliant, because it meant that for the whole film, while I'm watching it, trying to get the information, I'm sitting right next to somebody who's like, it's Ross. Ross is the bad guy. I'm like, I don't know. He doesn't seem like it right now. And I really like that use, because it also makes the leader in that film seem a lot more, how do I put this? It makes him seem a lot more intelligent than if they had revealed that it was the leader as the antagonist the entire time. And it's a good film. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I liked the idea that it's the leader. And at first they're like, why are you doing this? And he's like, oh, for this, this, and that. And then they're like, no, you're just being petty. And it really does show that it's yeah, even the smartest people can just be petty. And it was a really good use of his character.
And what a payoff. I think the Incredible Hulk, or Ed Norton's version, was really overlooked because we got the Eric Bana version, which was horrible. So people weren't really interested in another Hulk right away. I still think it's a really good film. And for Marvel to launch Iron Man and Hulk as their two first films, I thought it was brilliant and it worked well. So to finally get a payoff from Tim Blake Nelson with the gamma whatever leaking on his brain, I'm like, dude, thank you. So happy to see him as a bad guy. I love him as an actor. I'm not terribly familiar with the leader as far as comic book references, so I don't know. But I really like how he was portrayed. And I really liked, at first I didn't think the Stinger was all that great. But then watching it again where Falcon visits him and he's talking about, I've played all the probabilities. I've seen them. You have no idea what's coming. And you're like, all right, I dig it. Because now, obviously with the announcements, we know what's going to be coming. But just that tease reminds me of like the original Avengers and Avengers 2 when they start building this bigger world that we see now.
I will admit it is funny to hear him say, "Oh, based on the statistics," and then throughout the movie we see that his statistic calculation about Sam was wrong every time. It's like, I don't know if I trust you, dude, because every calculation you've done for this one man has been the statistical improbability.
But that defines humanity. That's what I love.
I know, yeah.
I think the only thing they fumbled with the character, and I wish they would have just done this, was when they even mentioned, like, he's like, well, I chose not to take the serum or whatever, because I think the hardest thing the audience has is it's not Steve Rogers anymore. So you're going to this movie and it's not Steve Rogers. And I do think they do a good job of telling that in this. And I think there are moments in this movie when Sam Wilson realizes that, like, oh, I do need to be like, I need to quit questioning myself. But I wish they would have just given him the serum and made him that more confident character. But it was some good story building. And I think if you see Thunderbolts as well, there's more of this void of there's no more Steve Rogers and everybody's trying to be this shining symbol of a hero.
Void, you say?
A void. Well, speaking of that, we can get into Thunderbolts. I know we started with Doomsday and then we got off of it, so we'll circle back through Thunderbolts. But I also enjoyed Thunderbolts. I did not think that was a bad movie. I guess it's not doing as well as they thought it would. They revealed, I think, super early that the asterisk was showing that they are the new Avengers. And at the end of the movie, the mid-credit scene and the Stinger both deal with them being the new Avengers of the world. Like, that is their team, and they're called the New Avengers. And I don't know. I thought it was good, but I guess people aren't as into it as I thought it was doing pretty well.
We saw it out of order. So we saw Thunderbolts first, and then we saw Cap 4. So the way I saw it, I thought this was funny. The Thunderbolts are making their move to be the Avengers with the Stinger and Red Guardian and spelling it different with a Z so that it's different. And then we watch Cap 4 and there's zero mention of Thunderbolts or anything. And I'm like, yeah, because that's the real team. Whatever Captain America creates, that's the real Avengers. They don't need to even mention the Great Lakes Avengers or whatever the freaking Thunderbolts are going to be. And the Thunderbolts are all like, no, it's us. And then, so that made me laugh, just seeing it out of order and seeing how the real Avengers have no care of what the Thunderbolts are doing. That made me laugh.
They literally are like, what I thought was interesting was Bucky coming back and being like, yeah, me and Sam had a talk and it didn't go well. So I'm going to be honest, the end of that movie and the Stinger at the end has me so excited for the next wave of Marvel movies. I am so excited for Fantastic Four. I can't wait to see how this changes that dynamic. And I also want to see what Sam's Avengers look like.
Yeah, agreed. And that's going back to the actual Thunderbolts. This is a lot to do with anticipation. So nerds don't be like, oh, he's a hater. I was disappointed in Thunderbolts. I was really looking forward to it. But to be honest, the moment, and spoilers, the moment they killed Taskmaster, I was like, whoa. I'm kind of out of this now. Like, what a waste. That sucked. And so, like, literally the whole film, I'm thinking, this would have been cool if Taskmaster was here. This would have been awesome. And I really was bummed by that, and I didn't think it was necessary.
I completely agree. It, to me, felt like they were pandering to the fans who frequently and quite annoyingly complained about Taskmaster in Black Widow. I have my reservations about comic book adaptations. At the same time, shut the hell up it's Taskmaster. That fight up until she got shot was really good. Like the move with the shield, that was pretty sick. But
yeah, all of that was great.
Yeah, killing her was just waste of a character, like was already stated, and it really made me feel like, okay, so now I know that whatever the hell this writer is going to bring up next, it's not because I want to adapt the comic book, it's because I want the fans to be happy. And so I really just didn't care as much. I enjoyed the acting. David Harbour as Red Guardian, hell yeah. I want a series where it's just him. It's just him. Just him.
He's so great. He's so great. And he's so great, that movie. And the moments between him and Yelena are awesome. There's so many good conversations in that. And I like that both of them as actors and characters are really getting moved up the Marvel ladder. And I don't know. I liked it.
I love how serious they take it, because somebody asked, what's her name? Yelena Pugh asked her about Florence Pugh, who has the better Russian accent? And it would be easy to be like this or that. And she goes, well, it's different because David Harbour's character actually grew up in Russia, so he was really Russian. My character grew up in the United States, but then got displaced back into Russia. And I'm like, you are a nerd, and I freaking love it. Thank you. And it was so cool. I love how they're getting into their characters, because, I mean, she's an amazing actress. So was David Harbour. Most of these people who are doing these things are amazing actors, actresses. They could literally just go and be like, I did a character. Shut up. Who cares? But no, they're like taking it to heart. And that's what we love, is that we read these characters, and for them to take it serious is huge and important. And I do love that.
Yes, it really enhances the world. I will say the only bit of dialogue I really hated was that they kept referencing the Void. It's like, oh my God, we get it. But other than that, it was a lot of fun. It was just fun. It wasn't complex. I mean, I preferred the political intrigue and the work that was being done in Brave New World. That's a preference thing. I think that was a lot more engaging than Thunderbolts was. But at the same time, it's also fun to watch people punch the crap out of each other.
I really liked as well. Like, I had no idea how they were going to do Sentry. No clue. Sadly, the whole time, yes, I thought Pullman did a great job. I kept picturing Stephen Yeun as that character who was originally announced to be the Sentry. So I never thought those characters, or those actors, looked alike until I saw this. And I'm like, wow, I keep picturing him. But I really liked how they visualized the Sentry essentially shadowing and wiping out people. It's like, that is terrifying. Like, you can't run.
When they killed the little girl, I was like, holy shit.
I'm like, the Omen in the 70s didn't show that. There's no way.
The only thing about that is when they did that, I was like, okay, these people aren't dead because they didn't murder a child on camera. I know that all these people are alive somewhere. So at least there was that. But when that happened, there was that split second of, holy shit.
Well, it's right on the heels of Red Guardian saving her. So you're like,
yeah, you're like,
oh, that's a bullshit. Yeah, that's not supposed to happen. But that's what's funny. People are talking about, not people, sorry. The critics are saying how, again, Thunderbolts is a failure because it didn't reach its box office potential and it's not going to make its money back. And I'm like, hold the phone. I am seeing advertisements involving the new Avengers, the Thunderbolts, left and right. It hasn't been released on streaming. Merchandising. It's like, you guys are full of shit. Just because it did not make its money back in the box office during its first month run, it's like, shut the hell up. It's making money. Stop it. I'm so tired of hearing that argument. So tired of it.
And I will say the cast had amazing chemistry, so that really helped it.
Dude, it really did, man. They all did so well together.
I did not like Walker. Did not like him in Falcon and Winter Soldier. It was like, dude, and you're not supposed to. So annoying.
You're not supposed to.
Totally redeemed himself as far as like, dude, this guy's, I kind of dig it. That's cool.
I love how he is just the jaded douche the entire time. And that it's like everybody just puts up with him because he's, trying to help. And I really like his character arc that he goes from, asshole to slightly less of an asshole.
Well, I love him in Red Guardian. Yes, I have super soldier in me too.
Yeah, it's like it's dude. David Harbour's just like it. You can tell he's having fun, but also his character is just like cool. I want to be a superhero, and we're doing superhero stuff. Like, isn't
Fucking
this
driving
awesome?
a limo across the country.
I like when he hits the
Red
button
Guardian.
and the lights come on.
Not going.
Pony starts
Bulletproof-ish.
playing.
Bulletproof-ish.
No, when he hits the lights and
Yes.
Pony starts playing, and she's like, "Who are your clients? Like, who are you driving around in this?"
Well, that was kind of funny too. That he was the one driving around. Julia Louis-Dreyfus was hilarious. I'm like, they hired him, really? Like, doesn't matter. It's funny.
I was thoroughly surprised that Julie Louis-Dreyfus was the babysitter of the group rather than Bucky, because
she's great though. She's so
that reveal
good
at the end when all hell is breaking loose and she's getting pinned back by the little curtain thing as they're confronting her, and she just turns it around with the press. And I'm like, dude, to me, that is the best representation of what happened in the comic book, putting into live action. It's not anywhere close to what actually happened, but the reveal was so good. And I'm like, dude, they nailed that. That was really good.
It's literally what Osborn did in the comics. It's like, hey, new Avengers, they're not bad guys, they're redeemed.
And then when Yelena leads in, we own you. I'm like, nice.
So the whole thing with like the twist on that is he's in charge of the Thunderbolts. Secret invasion happens, and he takes the kill shot on the Queen. So they now elect him to the head of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he changes to Hammer, and then he releases his Avengers team, but never tells them who they really are. So you have Bullseye pretending to be Hawkeye, Dakin pretending to be Wolverine, so on and so forth with that. But this one, I think, was neat because, yeah, you don't realize what's going to happen, and then when they announce him as the new Avengers, you're like, oh, but it is interesting too, because as we get into the other stuff of the movie, at the beginning of the movie, when they're climbing up the elevator shaft, Yelena says, like, we're not flying guys, we're punch and shoot 'em guys. So you have an entire team of that calling themselves the Avengers. So the threats are much different too. You got to think like they're not
one guy who can do it, not on command.
Well, I mean, it looks like he's been shelved. He's part of the team.
It looks like he's going to be the dude, Susie Homemaker, taking care of the place, because he's not going to use his powers.
So with that, let's get into the stinger.
Well,
go on.
First and foremost, I love the fact that Walker didn't fix his shield.
I hate that. That's the one thing that drove me nuts. Why did you not get a new shield? It doesn't make any sense.
That's what's
so waiting for that.
It says 9 months later. It says 9 months, right? Like, what is he? He's just been holding that.
That's the time
to
feed a
He
child.
has no inroads to Wakanda, so they're not going to help him out. The government doesn't want to help him out. Yeah, I love it.
To develop a human child. Sorry, gestate is the wrong verb. That's the time to create a child. And he still has the taco.
I hate it. I hated the taco. But anyways,
you said this, Brandon, and I just want to point this out. I would love if Sam Rockwell Hammer came back. I would love that.
That would be so good. Amazing. That was the only person missing from anything was Justin Hammer, because I just love Sam Rockwell to begin with. But
he would be phenomenal. I don't care how he does it. It would just be like cameo, fine, whatever. Hammer's back.
100%. Cool. Just give me more Sam Rockwell.
Yes.
But with the stinger, it looks like you now have 2 sets of Avengers operating. So since the end of Brave New World, Sam has put a team together. I've seen stuff online, and people have been looking at the casting with the chairs from the Doomsday announcement of who could be on the team. Some people, it's going to say it's supposed to be Bruce Banner, Wong, who else? Shang-Chi.
I would say Ant-Man, because they referenced Ant-Man.
Falcon, Ant-Man. But we have 2 groups going on, and then they're talking about stuff going on in space. So that's not addressed in anything we've seen so far. But they are talking about threats in space. And then you see the ship, and it's got the 4 on it. So we know that Fantastic Four is going to kind of, what I'm thinking, or a lot of people are saying online, is it's going to be like Captain America when he wakes up in Times Square. And that's going to be like the Fantastic Four coming to our world. But now I'm I can't wait to see what happens with Doomsday, because you have all of these. It's crazy because when we saw the announcements, you're like, oh, all the Thunderbolts are going to be in this movie. Well, they're going to be in this movie because they're also an Avengers team.
Yeah.
And I think that is just really, like I said, up in the stakes, moving them up the ladder to be more important in the stories and what's going on. And I'm also excited to see like Wyatt Russell and David Harbour and Florence Pugh like be these bigger people in this world, because they're all great actors, and now we're going to get them in bigger roles.
Well, and sadly, I want more. I want Baron
I want
Zemo
so
to
much
come back.
more.
And I want Peggy Carter's granddaughter to come back. They were great in Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's like I was a little disappointed not to see either of them, especially since Zemo was so heavy in the comics. I get it, whatever. But I think they are potentials. And again, I guess that's another reason why I was disappointed Taskmaster got killed. It's like, you just narrowed down the number of villains that are on this good guy team. That's bummer. Like, I want more bad guys.
I don't disagree with
you. Taskmaster was basically their ace in the hole.
Yeah.
Would have been their ace in the hole. And it's like
the Joker.
You just killed him.
I mean, I was bummed about Taskmaster as well. I think that would have been better to have her stick around. But with Doomsday getting pushed back, and now that we're seeing these bigger, like just the gravity of what this movie is going to be, I'm okay with it being pushed back. Just make sure it's good. Like if that's what you need to move it back for, I'm here for it, but I just want a good movie.
I'm actually surprised at this point, and they did it with Endgame, so I'm not like doubting Thomas, but I would not be surprised if they're like, okay, now we have Doomsday Part 1 and Doomsday Part 2. Because they are tackling a lot.
Give it to us. Break it up into 4 movies. Like, after Endgame, I know there was a lull from the fans, like nothing we were super disappointed in, but a lot of people seem to not be into it. And if the way Marvel tells stories is only these big, giant events, then just do it that way. You know what I mean? Like, if this is what's going to sell and get people in the seats, then I'm okay with only having giant event movies going forward.
Well, and that's where I appreciate Kevin Feige, because he's been getting hammered with this latest phase after Endgame, basically. And he stuck to his guns and be like, no, we have a plan. Obviously, the what's his name? Quantumanium dude threw a
Jonathan Majors.
Jonathan Majors
threw a wrench into what they had planned. But so far, in my opinion, it's been like, no, we have a story. We're going to tell it. I get that there's fans that are disappointed, but we're not playing fan service. Black Widow was a good movie. Marvels was a good movie. The only one that I've really been disappointed with this post phase was Eternals, which we've discussed, which I think it should have been a TV series. So that maybe Brandon's onto something. We have TV series that build up these more minor events, and then the big ones are like Doomsday and Secret Wars are the theatrical versions, whatever. But I really like how it's been. We have a plan. We're sticking to it. And I'm sure he's becoming more under fire by the day with the unhappiness of the fans and Disney. We need money. But I just like how he's kind of stuck to his guns from what I know. And they're like, no, here's what we're doing. It's a plan, and it's going to pay off.
Yeah. I completely agree. I really enjoy that it's like, no, we're going to make the stories we want because it fits with what we're trying to do with the overarching narrative. And what I really love is that they're dipping their toe into multimedia. So not only is it movies and TV shows, Marvel Rivals is the setup for, if they're doing Secret Wars like the comics, Battle Worlds, because the entirety of that game is set on Battle World, which is really interesting, because it does incorporate lore from the comics, the movies, and the TV shows. So it's nice to see that not only are they focusing on shows and movies to tell the story, you now have people in the gaming community getting into that. And then obviously with the comic books, that's not off the table. So there's a lot of setup everywhere, and I really appreciate that.
I think the biggest disappointment for me with the lack of support from some of the TV shows and other movies is showing that like the medium of comic books doesn't directly translate over into film. In the example of like She-Hulk, not all comics are serious big event things like that, like the She-Hulk series from Dan Slott and things that influence the TV shows where it's kind of more fun and more goofy or whatever, or even Quantumania or even the Marvels or whatever. I enjoyed that because when you read comics, you know that there's like serious books, funny books, lighthearted stuff they're just trying out. And I guess with the movies, people just want these big events and stories. They're not really looking for all that side stuff.
Disappointing because Miss Marvel TV show was fantastic.
Oh, it was great.
Not made for me. I'm not a teenage girl, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was more lighthearted. Same with, like you said, She-Hulk. I thought that was brilliant, the way they brought in the law firm that defends superpowered people, and then the superpowered people they brought in were so ridiculous and silly. I loved it. And I can't fathom why we can't have this separation of there's these kind of comic book related TV shows, but then we also have Falcon and Winter Soldier, which is more serious. I just don't understand why we can't have this separation.
Well, because half the human population's brain is smaller than the size of a peanut.
We would like fans, James. Please stop knocking out half of our viewership. I appreciate it.
Yeah, half of them.
I say it lovingly.
But I just, it was an experiment, and I hope that in time, some of these things that were judged very critically can be looked at and understood like what it was versus what people were wanting it to be in judging it. But, we're here and we're back at Doomsday, and we'll see what big stories they're telling with this. With Fantastic Four coming out, we still don't have any idea what John Malkovich is doing. We really don't have any idea what anybody's doing in the movie besides the family.
Yep.
John Malkovich. We don't know if we're going to see. I have to assume we're going to see Robert Downey Jr. We have to see Doom at some point. And back to that argument of what's Peter going to do when he sees Doom and he looks like Tony. Like, I've been rereading so much Fantastic Four to get me ready for this movie. I have so much writing on this movie emotionally and spiritually that I need it to be good. But there's so much of just like Doom is so disfigured and he's so hard to look at that even in Secret Wars by Jonathan Hickman, his face is still disfigured. Like, I don't think that's going to be the focus of this. But either way, I'm very excited to see the debut of Dr. Doom.
No, I don't mean to harp on that point, but that's what I've always thought. It's like the whole point that Doom wears the mask is that he's disfigured. He did that to himself on purpose. So everybody's like, oh, Peter's going to recognize it. It's like, what? No, Doom is disfigured. That's the whole point.
But see, now I'm hoping, as we've had with other movies, is these fans, it's not even theories. It's just what they want to see. And I hope that if they go with a disfigured Doom, or even if he fixes his face at some point and it's just Robert Downey Jr. playing a character and they don't really acknowledge that he looks like Tony, I really hope that's not something that these people are just like, it's just stupid. I wanted it to be, how come he's Tony Stark? Like, he's not Tony Stark. He's Victor Von Doom.
And so far, Marvel has transitioned from their comic book big events to movies. I don't want to say perfection because there obviously are some pitfalls, but they've taken, like, Civil War to me blows my mind still. That comic book was so good. That crossover event was so good. I couldn't fathom how they were going to do that at the time because they didn't own most of the characters. But that is one of my favorite movies still, the way they told it. They got the point across. Everything was fantastic in that movie. And it really represented what Civil War was in the comics, but it was nothing like the comics. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Same with Infinity War. Thanos didn't do anything to prove his love to death. Had no storyline to that. It made little references, which you're uber nerd. You're like, that's funny. But the way they told the story, yes, there's a couple things like, well, why didn't he just double the resources? Okay, whatever. But the way they told this whole huge event that it really didn't jive with what the comic book storyline was beautiful. So the way they do Secret Wars and Doomsday, I'm like, cool. You guys have so far.
Absolutely. I love the 90s Infinity War run with him courting death because it's so funny to me. And it never would have worked as a serious storyline with what they were going for, because the whole point is that it's kind of stupid that Thanos is doing this because, he wants to have a little bit of fun. I really appreciate the Thanos we got in the movies because it's very different. And for the people who's like, he should have just doubled the resources. No, that's not the kind of character he is. Please stop. But it's like I really appreciate having read Secret Wars because I genuinely don't know, and both the 80s and the 2016 run, which don't read the 80s one, it's not worth it. I genuinely don't know where they're going to go with this.
Don't read the 80s Secret Wars?
It's so long and it's
but it's
boring.
But it's so important to like the history of comic books. Like
Do you willingly read the 80s comics?
I literally just reread Secret Wars. So I'm reading John Byrne's Fantastic Four run. And when Secret Wars came out, it was the first issue of 12, but the comics continued. So the next issue, She-Hulk comes back in the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man comes back in the black costume. All these things changed, and it was like, what happened on this planet that they all got sucked into? And I that's the first time I've ever read it in that order. So I literally stopped reading the John Byrne run when they walk into the thing in Central Park. I literally finished Secret Wars 2 days ago. And then now I'm back on the John Byrne. So I'm reading it as that full story. And it's really interesting to like see that way. But like, do not knock 80 Secret Wars. That was the first time. That was the first time that they ever did a big event like this. It was the blueprint for all events going forward. And whether or not it's slow, it is one of the most important stories in comics.
I agree with Brandon. Historically is very important. But what I can't stand with pre-90 comics, and I'm not saying 90 comics are the greatest because I know Brandon's thoughts on that. I can't stand when they verbally or thought bubble say what they're going to do, and then the action is what they're doing. I'm like, God.
But I mean, that's different writing, man. That's different writing.
It's not good writing. When I get to the third 30/40 page issue of I'm going to punch this guy,
but it's history. It's how comics used to be written.
I read it once.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There wasn't much. It wasn't much advancement in the writing from 1938 to the early 80s where they're still doing that. And then I have no idea why they changed it up where we're actually just seeing what they're doing versus saying what they're going to do and then doing it. It's like, Christ.
I don't deny its historical value whatsoever. If you really want to read that, go ahead. I read it. I didn't care for the writing, so I probably won't read it again.
I think it's important. I think it's important to read. I think it's important to know. But I mean, like if you read, I mean, I have a large collection of older runs and original runs. And yeah, like, I mean, it just shows like how things have evolved. I mean, Jack Kirby is, one of the greatest artists of all time, but even reading something like, his old stuff, that artwork is not as detailed as it was, but it's the blueprint for where that inspired these people and turned them into the artists that they are today. So you can knock the writing, but it still influenced all the people you're reading now that write these incredible stories.
I wouldn't have read it if it wasn't important. I read it because I knew how important it was. It just wasn't my thing. I much prefer the 2016 run. For the Hickman's thing is, I will tell you, like, Hickman took that and changed it into something absolutely ridiculous, which is what he just does in all of his writing. But don't knock. Secret Wars was fun. It was fun to look at. And here's the thing too, is you have to understand that it's the first time that you had all of these characters show up together. And I really think too, like, just rereading it with like fresh eyes for the first time in a while, it's the writing may be rough, but it does a good job of showcasing each person individually and still have it feel like everybody feels important in that story. And I think that is still a blueprint to how not only events are done, but comics are done.
I feel like some people are too important.
And movies.
Really?
They were trying different things. It was a new thing. But
hey, Magneto was nice to her, which is something I can't say about Hank Pym at that time.
I mean, yes, Magneto was much nicer to the Wasp.
I know.
Her own husband was. That is a really solid point. Magneto at the time, which is funny too, because reading that, he is shown as more of an anti-hero.
Yeah.
You know, he's not a
attacked
villain
by the heroes because he's trying to do the right thing, but they don't know he's trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, he's like, leave me alone.
I love you suck. And he's like, leave me alone.
But speaking of like that in the term that like how it influenced comics and stuff, and then you talking about like Civil War and the difference between the comics and the movies, it almost feels like now that the movie Civil War was a blueprint for what they wanted to see if they could do something with a ton of characters. And because Civil War worked out, you got Infinity War and Endgame, and then because of Endgame, you're going to get Doomsday with, I mean, the cast is bigger. That's why the difference between the comic book Civil War and the movie Civil War was so much different is when it took place in that continuity, you know, like there's a, I bet I could go grab it in a second, but there's a splash page that I always show people to show like, this is the comic book Civil War. And everyone's like, holy shit, there's so many people involved.
Yeah.
It's huge. It's every single person that Marvel has owned. But at the time when they made that, they still had, issues with Sony. They barely were able to squeeze in Peter Parker as his first appearance in the MCU. And they did not own the Fox franchise of X-Men, Fantastic Four, Daredevil, all those yet. So yeah, it was really impressive the way they pulled it off.
This was the last issue of Civil War, and it's like you've been reading all of these issues and you get to this, and it was just like, holy shit. Like,
where's Goliath?
Hold on. Let's go back a couple issues. Because he's dead as shit.
Goliath in and Ant-Man too. I love how they did that.
Yeah. That was this is a great story. This is a really good story.
It really is. But I'm glad we didn't get things like the AI Thor or the robot Thor, whatever it is. Like, I really didn't.
That would have been weird.
Yes.
Yeah, and that kind of being the inciting incident is just not as effective as
there you go.
The Accords.
He died.
And losing Goliath, even when I read the book, was like, okay. Versus losing what's his name? Why can't I think of his name? Don Cheadle. With Don Cheadle getting hit.
War Machine.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And he falls to the ground, and then Falcon's like, oh my God. And Iron Man, without even looking, like shoots him, and you're like, yeah, that's powerful. That, to me, that's even more powerful than if Goliath
100%
had thrown up and died or something.
Yeah. And that's where I really hope with Secret Wars and Doomsday. I mean, we've seen the casting. They're bringing in a whole ton of characters. I want them to go all out. What was so fun about reading Hickman's Secret Wars is that you see so many variants of like Thor or Hulk or whoever, and it's just like this mash of so many variants, and it's like, bring in all these different variants, bring in all these different characters. And for Doomsday, absolutely go all out, bring out all the heroes in that one universe and maybe a few others that you can. And then for Secret Wars, blow it out of the water, surprise us with the variants and the ideas and just the variety you can come up with. And I feel like this concept is at its strongest if they pull what Hickman did and just like do the craziest thing they can imagine. And I hope it's a Doom storyline, because that can become so impressively crazy with what they can do. And I would love to see that. And I don't think they can really do wrong, no matter how far out there crazy they get.
My favorite concept of Hickman's run was the Thor Corps.
Yes.
The fact that his cops are all Thors patrolling Battle World.
Can we get the Hemsworth brothers as different Thors?
There was a rumor saying he might be Beta Ray Bill. So I mean, it would be probably CGI heavy, but I would still be
one of his brothers, the one who acted as Thor in the play. Yeah. So we've had it before.
We can get Matt Damon back as a Loki variant. And the comedian who was Hela in the stage play. I'm blanking on her. Was that Melissa McCarthy?
Yeah, it was.
We could get her as a Hela variant.
So I know we're running a little long on this, a lot long, but also talking about other people coming back. There's a lot of chatter, and I think it's even confirmed. Jessica Jones. A lot of the Defenders are making a return. The Netflix Defenders coming to the MCU, and I'm a little conflicted because I thought a bunch of those were great. Jessica Jones was great. Luke Cage was great. Obviously, we've seen Punisher was great. Daredevil, Born Again was great. There's definitely one that wasn't great, Iron Fist, and the actual Defenders on Netflix I thought sucked.
Oh, you don't like it?
I'm a little torn on this movie.
I hope that Danny Rand comes back for redemption, because I
nice.
just think that was criminally underdone, the way that story was told, and with how good Daredevil and Punisher ended up being. Even Jessica Jones, I don't think the third season was the strongest of the three, but the first two were great. And Luke Cage, I thought, was outstanding. And at the very least, if the stories weren't your favorite, the way these people play these characters were awesome. So I hope that we are getting that, at least to give maybe some redemption to what we saw before.
And one of my favorite things about Iron Fist, I'd forgotten until you just brought it up, which I hope we get again, was the argument of they whitewashed Iron Fist. And I was like, he was always Danny Rand. What the hell are you talking about?
The argument is that you have a white guy going to this Asian country and becoming this symbol of power.
If they did that with Shang-Chi, I get it. But
I completely agree with you. I don't think there's a reason to get rid of Danny Rand as a character. They've kind of done it in the comics. Swordmaster is now the new Iron Fist, but like, they gave him a series and it flopped. It flopped super hard, and say what you want about it, but people love to complain about this shit, and then nobody reads the changes or the updates or the books. So everyone's like, oh, how dare Danny Rand be Iron Fist from this, this Asian heritage and all this other stuff. And then they give you what you want, and nobody reads the series, and it ends up a 5-issue miniseries that no one gives a shit about going forward. I mean, Danny Rand is a character that continues to appear in comics, and has shown up all the time as Iron Fist is a popular character. And now the new Iron Fist is really nowhere to be found because people aren't connecting with the character. So, if you're going to complain, then go to the store and pick up the book and show them that what they did was inaccurate. But I think Danny Rand needs some respect on his name, because it's a great character. There's very good runs of Iron Fist. Matt Fraction wrote one of the greatest Iron Fist stories you'll ever read.
And he's a great character.
He's a great character.
Correctly.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because outside of the not great TV show and the comic books, there's still good adaptations. The Spider-Man animated TV show that I can't remember, I think it was
Ultimate.
They had Iron Fist show up as a high school kid, and he just shows up and he's goofy, and it's like, this is fun. I like Danny here.
Well, I still want to see Danny Rand and Luke Cage. I want to see Heroes for Hire.
That would be cool. And Misty and all the others that go along with that.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
That'd be super. That's why I was so disappointed in the Defenders. I'm like, oh my goodness, I love the street level team. This is my jam. It's not the Avengers. And then when I saw it, I'm like, boy, that was rushed.
It's just tragic that one misstep and then one people getting frustrated at something that has since been revised has caused this character to kind of get pushed away, because it's like, Danny Rand can be a fun character. So I really do hope if he comes back, there's, like you said, shot at redemption.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm hopeful. And now it's all MCU. Whereas before, we did get Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Punisher, great, Luke Cage, great examples from a Netflix team. But now we're on with MCU. So I really think that there's a lot that we can look forward to on that one.
100%. But yeah, that was a lot of Marvel news. That was a robust.
It was. And we didn't even touch on like all the ridiculous rumors that are out there, which we don't really want to touch on. So yeah, let us know what you guys think of all this awesome Marvel news. And got a lot coming up, but next year we don't have a lot of movies. We just have I think Born Again, and I can't remember what the other one is. So
we'll have more talking to do.
Yes, we will.